Hi.
I forget the traffic is at 5:30.
Oh,
I
tomorrow.
know, yeah.
Sorry,
Crossing
fine.
Especially.
I have a meeting with work.
And a planning meeting. You're working.
That's
Was,
The secretary.
yes, she needs to be here, especially since I see some issues with the meeting minutes.
Excuse me?
We're waiting for Miss Sosa, this recording secretary, and it's important that she be here before we start. Also, we have some changes to the meeting minutes that she's gonna need. So we'll give her a couple minutes.
To provide some input, especially on programming. And so they provided some ideas and we want to show what can be done, have we done, and all that. But I will have one of our staff members. And
I make sure, I don't want to.
basically, that's what we're gonna be discussing today. There will be no short library report and what our plan is for the
You know.
recommendation.
95,000. She looks exactly like.
Yes,
that.
been
Fantastic.
on my
road.
roll.
But you know what? She's.
For a long time.
And
It's nice to see,
hybrid.
yeah, and it's,
I think
So I went-
February 2020 was maybe our last
yeah,
in person
that's correct.
branch.
Southwest Branch. And after that, we didn't meet like for 3 months.
Right.
And then we did our first one until this is the first hybrid, if you will.
Central and
Before, we did not, every once in a while, we did a Southmost, the board members preferred here because of logistics. But moving forward, when we're able to, right now, we have, all the board meetings are here or the board or commissions are here because the chambers is at a commission, no pun intended. It's being repaired, but once we're back to normal, it'll be every other, or whatever the board chooses to.
Yeah, I think it's also a technology issue.
Yeah.
Here, the technology is ready to go versus having it self-move.
So they decided I can't live by myself.
Make some
Subdivision. But Rachel has 4 different jobs. So, you know, I said, Rachel, you know, Mom, now she's better because I went and got my vaccination. She used to come home and lunch, but where are you, Mom? Right, I'm home. I don't have one. And of course, the interpreters, I get sick either.
My daughter, one of her co-workers.
you're having the city meetings or.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Not one. Hospital.
What is that?
At the hospital, I don't know which hospital.
What are the teachers from here right now? I heard 2 of them.
Well, there's a teacher in history, he passed away kind of hard. He was a blocker. But this is a science teacher that I got with my daughter. And he and his wife, and they wanted the oldest daughter. It's really.
Are you open? Are your library open?
Oh, yeah. We've been open since June 2020. Yeah. They reopened 100% capacity in May or June of 2021.
Can anybody else?
And I'm assuming you're very comfortable with the commute already?
Yeah, I mean,
It's normal, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of construction.
Yeah.
Is there any way we start and make the objection to the minutes?
It's the recording secretary who's on her way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Should be about 3 minutes.
Yeah, we're just trying to be a little flexible this time since it's the first time in person in a while. So,
Who's the teacher?
They're called Abraham. For no, it's last name. Because, you know, I don't teach there anymore, so. But that was his first. I don't think she ever mentioned to the second.
Because my granddaughter is a student in
Labor Day.
Labor Day.
She turned 18 Saturday, and my oldest grandson, his son, turned 24.
Dubai.
So did,
So like we
so did
can start.
August. Yeah, August did too.
Yeah, I'm sorry, so. Around 2020. Been observed.
And she has her shop.
Great.
That's one thing that well, because it's big. You know, they get exposed to so much. And I'm, with Rachel, every time they come out, what big fan. Of course, I don't know. But when I do, I feel for my son. My God, I've never watched it.
I don't know.
Amazing time.
I don't know. Back to 2022. That's when we shut down in March. Yeah. It's like Students went for
Not very
spring
much.
break and now never went back. I thought it was,
You still at Lopez?
yes, but I still like, I'm still there.
Probably see my son there, Harry.
What grade is that?
Senior?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just depends, I guess. And did you take a vaccine?
I might have him in my class.
I asked him, no.
The fall.
He's more into graphics.
Well, right now, the thing is, notice. And I just read about it today, see, I have.
You have a new principal, right?
Yes.
He said that it's much cooler. That's what he said.
Well, there's different personalities.
Of course, from his point of view.
There's very different personalities.
That way.
But I mean,
It does.
Ms. Aguilar had been there for a year.
Passionate.
Yes, she was there for
Give it me.
like 10 years.
I made a voice.
She retired, didn't she?
She retired last year. So that's why it was her last year.
So, what I'm looking forward.
Are my eyes deceiving me?
No, I saw her run by.
She probably went to the.
Yeah.
So, ¿cuántos quedan? Sergio?
I need it for
There she is.
Cuatro.
Because,
The director?
and what they're doing is that it's solar. It has to be solar that they're
Hi, I think,
out there.
Maribel has some stuff for you.
You go ahead.
Hi.
It was an emergency.
It happened that first time back in person, so.
Traffic too.
Okay.
Ready, whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right, so we're going to call the meeting to order today for the Brownsville Public System Advisory Board. It is 5:52 according to the screen that I'm looking at, and our library board members are here in person with Miss Celia Flores Feisch joining via Zoom, or is it, what are we doing? WebEx. Just a reminder, in order to be counted present for the meeting, if you're not here in person, you do need to have your camera turned on. And we're also joined by Ms. Berta Pena from our library task force. Thank you. So the second order of business is to discuss our minutes. I did notice a few updates that need to be made to our minutes. We had Lozado, so we need to add an O there, Castro as present. And then in 7A, I noticed that it's Carlotta Petrina that we partnered with. And I think that Karen Ayala is actually Miss Rachel Ayala.
I was gonna say, it's on.
I don't know why I renamed you, Karen.
The correction is on, number 7, Southwest Brand.
Okay.
Rachel Ayala, and also it's on section 8. Discussion of action, again, it says Karen Ayala instead of Rachel Ayala.
Yeah.
And then further on, there's another one, there are about 2 or 3 that need to be corrected, and it's also on discussion of Friends of the Library, again, Rachel Ayala.
Okay, yeah.
You can probably just do a final trace on that.
Yeah.
So given these corrections, I'd like to table approval until next meeting, if that's okay with everyone.
I'd second.
Thank you. Okay, we don't have any citizen comments this evening, so we can move along to the library report. And is that going to be Miss Brenda Trevino?
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to report that little by little, we are getting more and more patrons coming in. And so our library, especially on the weekends, have been bustling and busy, and we're trying to serve all our patrons to the best of our abilities there. Our regular programming does continue. We still continue having our story times, our movie times, science days, and art nights, and so those are going to be ongoing. But I am proud to announce that one of our team members here from the library actually initiated a new program that we premiered this past Saturday at the Southmost Library, and that's the Super Smash Brothers tournament. And that was open to all ages, and we actually do have some pictures that will depict the excitement of our crowd here. But we had over 150 registrants that went ahead and signed up for it. And it was open to all ages, and it started at 12 and it went all the way up to about 6 o'clock. And so it was a long tournament with many brackets, but yeah, we did have a first, second, and third place winners there, and you know, they had a lot of fun. There was a lot of cheering going on. And we did have some prizes. And we do plan to continue this tournament going on. So yeah, it was a really good crowd that showed up for us there. So, and it was just really nice to see our library, you know, with so many people and being alive and everybody being friendly competitors. So it was great. We are also reporting that we have obtained a PO for our crosswalk that was discussed in previous meetings. So that's been ordered and we should have them soon, and those will be the ones for the southmost. So we can go
Crosswalk
ahead,
lights.
the crosswalk lines. Yeah. So those will be coming in soon. Also, we are happy to announce that after a very, very, very long time, we now have all of our librarians. We're fully staffed in librarians. And so that, again, that hasn't happened in a long time. So we're hoping that having that last librarian that we were missing, we get to go ahead and work just on our programming and our services, and just having that continuity will be helpful for everyone that visits both of our libraries. And speaking of continuity and trying to also minimize our turnover, coming in October, we are converting some part-time positions into full-time. So those we're having 2 positions open up. Yeah, so come October, pretty soon, we'll advertise and hopefully get 2 full-timers in. And then lastly, I would just like to invite everybody to our reopening next Thursday, September 30th. It's going to be an event from 4 to 8 at Southmost, and we have presenters coming in. We do have a children's author. We have Roca Cultural Center that's going to do a dance performance for us, and the Glass Porter Sue will be there as well. We're planning on having some games and of course food and drinks for everybody to enjoy. And that's it for this month.
Yeah, and I would like to add, we're also in the process of obtaining quotes to put 2 lighted posts in the southmost entrance with the banners, and then 4 on the Manzano, because it's in the Manzano area is wider. And we also want to move into possibly permitted. I know that Commissioner Galansky is in present, and she, along with us, we applied for a grant for ARP. Unfortunately, we weren't awarded, but I think we can do something as far as create a crosswalk from Manzano side. And we already have the light, so that would help out. Why we have 2 at Southmost, because you know the Southmost is very small entrance, but with the blinking lights and the 2 light poles with banners, I think we're really gonna show where Southmost is now. Besides other plans that we have with the signs as far as our work plan, we will be revamping our marquees, both branches, and so that's going to be part of the work plan. We plan to present to you the board plan for next fiscal year, which is October, but I wouldn't feel comfortable doing right now because it's going through the commission first. But again, you see that we put a lot of thought into it, and it's staff driven as far as the work plan, and it's ownership, and I think it's only going to be better for Havanero residents. So I just want to add to those lights and anything else that Brenda said.
I would like to comment, I want to compliment you, Juan and Brenda, because I did talk to some of the librarians over there in the area, and of course, they're very excited about the changes at Southmost. They're excited about the hours, that there's more access to it. And the other thing is, remember how we talked about that they're sending the, to the librarians? And I did check, the librarians are receiving them, and they're letting the kids know about the activities.
The newsletter, right? You mentioned,
The newsletter, exactly, that they are receiving the newsletter, and the one that's working very well, or that I communicate with, is through Ms. Dora Salceda, the Assistant Superintendent for that area. So I do want to compliment her, and I do want to compliment both of you for the follow-through. And I talked to some of your librarians, and they were very excited about the new communication. And hopefully, you know, it's great. The library over there is great. It's been updated. It's slowly, it's unfortunate we can't have the prints over there because it's a small, area and it's not advisable right now. But my compliments to both of you that the follow-through has been there.
thank you, ma'am. Any questions on the,
How many librarians are there now full-time?
including myself, 9 of us? And Ms. Shannon would testify to this. It's been hard to recruit librarians. Normally, librarians that would come from the outside would be here for a couple of years at best and leave. We're happy to, proud that all of us are from the Valley, from Brownsville. So that kind of sense of ownership that they're staying here. In fact, Kayla, one of our recent hires, and she's already taken over the children's programming. So it's just very passionate. And so we're excited to have them.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Any questions from the online?
Ms. Peña?
I just want to congratulate all of the employees and you, Mr. Guerra, your staff, for making the Southmost Library more accessible and open and more familiar with the community in the Southmost area. Being a former Lopez High School principal, and also I worked at Falk, I know that it's so important to those students to have the resources. And you're doing a tremendous job. I think that the increase of students, the report that was just given, the story, the movie, the art initiated activities are something that we were initially wanting to start up, but it looks like you're well on your way. We're here as a community. I don't even live in the Southmost area, but I support you and I will help you in whatever I can, make it even better. Again, congratulations, Mrs. Vallada. You've always stood for kids. You've been an advocate for kids, and those kids need us. So congratulations to the committee and to you, Mr. Guerra, your staff, because you're doing the right things. You're doing what's right for kids.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, so the next agenda item is a discussion of the task force recommendations. You might remember from last meeting that we were emphatic that we demonstrate support for the work of the task force by not only formally recognizing the work that they did, but also coming to them with a plan of action for implementation of their projects. And so Ms. Kayla Trevino is going to present on the BPL task force proposals.
Hello, everyone. I am Kayla Trevini. I'm one of the librarians here. I am usually at the Southmost branch, but of course we bounce back and forth and, we're always working together. I would first of all like to thank the task force for their proposals. I can see that they put a lot of thought into it and they had a lot of really, really great ideas. So it was interesting going through each one by one and seeing, how we could move forward with the proposals. So starting off, we're going to kind of go in order from like current projects to maybe much longer term projects. And then I'll stop at each one for questions. So current projects, so these are proposed projects that have already been implemented and are currently ongoing. The first one we have on here is the chess lessons. Chase actually took control of this one and he started up our chess lessons with there's a local instructor here. And he's doing them once a month and he's alternating branches. So once at Maine and then next month it'll be at Southmost. So that already started. We had our first one like 2 weeks ago, I believe in September.
And you, on this chess, when is it being held? And are you having a picture now?
Yeah, so
The Southmost, that's,
we haven't started at Southmost yet just because we just started this month. And the first one was here at Maine. They had a pretty decent turnout. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but they hold it out on the main floor, so it's visible to everybody as they walk in, and we also advertise it on our calendars. And it's for all ages, so all ages, all, levels of experience in chess.
and, what days do they have it?
Saturday.
It was a Saturday, right? Yeah.
Yes, and we're going to continue having on Saturdays as well, both here and over at South Coast.
I'm very much for it. I initiated the chess program in the district
Oh,
years ago at Russell Elementary.
yeah, so,
So, oh, great, that's fantastic.
yeah, and our instructor, I think his name is Ray,
Ray,
correct?
yes.
Ray, he's graciously volunteering his time to us, so he's doing this, for free, and he's a big supporter of the library, so he's happy to be here and host his chess lesson.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we also have our library newsletter, which goes out once a month. That's BPL monthly. And then another thing that I send to the librarians is just a regular email from our BPL at Brownsville TX email. And that's where I include the calendars, the flyers, and like a little update on everything that's upcoming for the month. And I send them the flyers so that they can share those with their students. And then they also proposed a first library card. So that's something that we do every year in September. That's the library card sign up month. This year we're actually doing a raffle. So we have 4 different prizes for 4 different age groups, and anyone who signs up for a brand new library card gets entered into that raffle at the end of the month. And we are raffling off some really cool prizes. We have a Keurig for adults. We have some Beats for Beats for high school students. The Switch Lite for the middle schoolers, and then like a play area with a ball pit for the younger ones. And then art workshops. So that's something that we do with our art nights. We actually have one tomorrow, and it's a really cool one. One of our part-time staff members is doing it's like a picture frame, and you paint a picture like layer by layer on the glass. And when you flip it around, you have the completed image. It's actually very cool. So we're excited about that one. So we do those every month, and it's a different activity every time.
At both libraries?
Yes, at both libraries.
Great.
Any questions in regards to those projects? So these are our fiscal year projects, the 2022 fiscal year projects. These are short-term projects that can actually be implemented, starting in October and moving forward into the fiscal year. A big one is Makerspace. Our Makerspace advisors actually did a presentation last month, I believe. And so they have several projects lined up. It's their STEAM-related projects, so the science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And some of them include the coding workshops, the DIY instruments, 3D printing, sewing, basically anything where you can create something, they have ideas for. For some of the other projects, one of them was a rock garden / art workshop, and one of our staff members actually brought that up recently as a way to revamp the courtyard here at the main branch. So it needs a little bit of love and attention. So one of the ideas was to do a rock garden for the students who can come in and paint the rock, and then they can be a part of the library in that sense. We also have book clubs on here. We had done book clubs in the past. It was my understanding that they weren't always successful, but we do have some librarians who have an interest in it and are hoping to bring that back and try and brainstorm new ways of actually getting people in the door. I think the issue was that patrons would pick up the book for the book club and then not come back for the actual meeting. So that's why we had to kind of put it on pause and rethink the book clubs. The next one was music and dance workshops. And this is the one where we are hoping to partner with the Carlotta K. Petrina Cultural Center. They're the ones who are going to perform at the reopening. And in talking with Hilda there, she is very excited to partner with us and has even suggested doing some classes at the Southmost branch just for access to the students in that area. And this would include music workshops. They have like a little, I think they have like guitar lessons, they have the string instruments, and then they do their different dances as well. So any questions on our 2022 projects?
Very excited.
The next is our long-term projects. These are going to require a lot more research and planning, but they are all very doable. One of them was the mobile library, and this was partnering with other city departments and trying to get books to more accessible areas. And what we learned was that Parks and Recreation actually has their little mini libraries at some of their rec centers. So we were thinking we could partner with them and actually donating books to those mini libraries so that the kids who go to those rec centers have access to them. So they have their own after-school programs. And so that would be a great way to get those books to the students that are at those after-school programs. The next one was a seed library. And this one, I'm pretty excited about this one because at the Southmost branch, we have a lot of space. And one of the ideas was to actually just start a community garden there. And we could do that by partnering with the Brownsville Wellness Coalition. And the seed library can actually be started by the citizens of the community. Another library did something where in order to kick off their seed library is they invited people from the community to do a plant exchange. So they could bring their own seeds, they could bring plants that they then could trade with each other and then donate also to the library. So they ended up having a pretty good amount of seeds donated to them, and that just grew and grew as more people came to exchange seeds, and they kind of grew it that way. So that's an exciting one. Take a breath. The next one is acting workshops. This one is different from the music and dance ones, just because I think it's a little more technical, requires a little more skill. And we have yet to find an organization that we could partner with on that one, but we are going to look into it and hoping that we could do something similar to the community center and having them come and host their classes at the branches.
What actually do you mean by the acting workshops?
This is one on the task force list, it just said acting workshops. So what I assumed was they would have what I assumed they wanted was like instructors coming to the library and teaching like little acting workshops. That's how I took it. That's how I understood it. I'm not sure if they had maybe a different idea when they said acting workshops, but that's how I understood it.
Ms. Peña?
Yes, Mrs. Ayala, everyone. Oh, by the way, I just love the way you've taken our ideas and made them spectacular. They're magnificent. You are very gifted, or whoever worked on this. I will tell you the acting, we wanted kids to be exposed to classical novels and stories. And so we wanted them to have an opportunity to reenact, to change the character if you could, and how would you do that? So it takes someone with a little practice that's worked with kids that could change the outcome of the story, and how would you reenact that? Or it's storytelling, by demonstrating a character. So that's what we wanted to instill. We feel that students need a lot of oral language development, that they need a lot of interpretation, they need a lot of predicting outcomes. So all of those skills will come into the acting, and that was the thinking behind that.
Okay, with that in mind, that actually makes this suggestion a little bit easier to do, because that could be a program. So that's actually a wonderful idea. I love that. So if it's not bringing in people to actually teach acting, we can do that. So yeah, thank you very much for the clarification on that one.
Another thing that we can do again with BISD, with
Right.
departments, that they can go ahead and help them, because we do have a fine arts department.
Right.
It would be great that, they can assist And like Ms. Peña, my compliments to you in the implementation of what you're doing. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Okay, so that was acting workshop switch. Thank you again for the clarification on that one. That's actually very possible, very doable. Next, we had the bike rodeo. Now, initially, this one was suggested as a partnership with BISD and TSC. And we have actually done something similar to a bike rodeo in the past where we had, everything set up in the parking lot and we invited the students to come, well, just, the community in general to come ride their bikes. Now that Brownsville is pushing the bikes as much as they are, they have Ciclovia and they had their own ride with the city manager. We're actually thinking that we can do this by partnering with other City of Brownsville departments, like the police department, for example. So that's something that we could do in the future. It just requires a lot of coordination with other departments and working together. And then, of course, figuring out how we can invite BISD and Texas Southmost College into the mix and getting that planned out. And then the next one is the monthly career talks. Again, I think this is something that we could partner with City of Brownsville, just getting different departments to send someone over, once a month to do kind of talk about their jobs. We could do the fire department, the police department, finance. All these people could come and actually talk about what they do. And once we get through the City of Brownsville, we can start looking at other local businesses who can come out and talk about what they do as well.
I'm highly impressed with this. The other thing is, are we doing anything with the adults, with the parents? And the only reason I'm asking you is because I know at one time, Juan, they used to have the, like beginner, computer classes for people like me that, that need help. And I was wondering, are we going to implement anything like that? That was great when they had it.
We are actually thinking of bringing it back, and we've actually tried morphing it a little bit, modifying it, where it's not only strictly on computer classes, but more like technology talk. So it will be one like on how to navigate through eBay, how to navigate through, Amazon, how to use Facebook, how to use Instagram. That way, we're shortening the divide and being able, having all ages access all of those social medias and different technologies that are available.
Well, even for parents, how to turn on the computer, how to do that, because I know I have to call my daughter when I need help. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, and
Get started.
Yes.
And in fact, Leo is the one that usually does the classes. You remember Leo?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that does the classes. We've done it and we're gonna continue to do it.
but are we doing it now?
Not right
All right,
now,
but we're gonna
but
start.
we are going to restart it.
In both school, campuses?
Yes, ma'am.
Whatever we do, Diana, it'll be both campuses.
Well, I'm excited to do that one.
Let me add one thing. The summer reading program for the longest time, it was only geared towards kids. Now we do summer reading programs for all ages, even like me, and they get prizes coming in. So it's now not only the kids, but the parents are involved. Anybody is part of the summer reading program
Right.
before we even do that.
And I'm volunteering Ms. Peña and myself to help, for anything, workshops or anything with parents, so we can help them, how to help their students, or anything like that. Ms. Peña is a great resource. She was the assistant superintendent for curriculum. So use her. She's not working, so she has plenty of time.
Oh, my goodness. Let me just comment here, Mr. Guerra, staff, board members. I think that, well, the last time I went to workforce, the department workforce, they have an array of training. They have from trying to find with your aptitude, that you're best suited for a profession, all the way to computer literacy, to finance, how to manage your budget. Those could be geared to high school, maybe a little simpler to middle school, or even adults. So just advise, please check with Workforce Commission, so that Pat Hobbs used to be there. I don't know if he's still there, but he can certainly be a great asset, and it's all free. And they're willing to go out in the community to help out wherever they can.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and another thing we learned from summer reading is that a lot of these, the family, they like family events. So when we had like adult-only events, you know, a lot of times they would bring their kids and they would do like the art projects together. So we kind of learned from that and we were like, okay, they like to come and do things as a family. So that's something that we're gonna try and push in the future, like actual, you know, for all ages, everyone can participate sort of thing. Okay. So, any more questions on the long-term project? Moving on to the projects that have some barriers to entry. These are ones that have, you know, a lot of obstacles that we need to like really look into further to see if we are going to be able to implement these at all in the future. The first one,
Or maybe modify.
or, you know, modify in some way to make them a little bit easier for us and that's, yeah. So the first one is the instrument lending library, which I do love this idea in theory, but once you start getting into the nitty gritty of it, it has a lot of moving parts and there's just a lot to consider with the instruments. And it's not even just the initial cost of the instrument, it's the cost of repairs. These are all very fragile instruments, the cost of maintenance. After so much use, they need to be maintained, they need to be cleaned. Hygiene is an issue. If the fines that a patron might incur if they were to damage an instrument, like that's not going to be cheap. And a lot of them can barely afford to pay their book fines. So imagine if they were to check out a saxophone and break it, you know? And then of course, there's the space for the storage. At the moment, we just don't have the space to hold big instruments that they just require a lot of space and climate control. The next one is the dual enrollment classes. If I understood this one correctly, it would be to host these classes at the Southmost branch. And when I did look into it, I learned that these courses that are a partnership through UTRGV and TSC, they can really only be hosted at authorized participating schools. So they have their list of schools that can actually host them, and it's all the BISD high schools. So at the moment, there's no way for us to really enter into that one in a way that could actually give them college credit. We can do like little workshops and classes and things like that, but nothing that could actually give them the credits that they're looking for. They would have to go through their high schools to do that one. Marketing with local vendors. We have considered this one in the past, but what usually happens is we say, can we put some of our flyers here at your restaurant? And they're like, sure, can you take some of our flyers? We can't do that because then we can't promote these private businesses because there's just too much of a conflict of interest there. For the music choir, this one, we are willing to host rehearsals and we are willing to host performances. Like if a choir were to say we want to do a small performance at the Southmost branch, I'm sure we could accommodate that. We'd be willing to do that. But if I understood it correctly and we are to try and manage our own choir, we don't have the resources for that at the moment.
I can't sing.
Yeah. Very few of us can, I think. And then lastly is the TSC 21st Century. Actually wasn't sure what this one was, and this one was actually paired with the career talks, which the career talks were possible, but to be labeling it 21st Century is a little bit trickier because that is a grant funded program. And in Texas, it's called the Texas After School Centers on Education. And it's a grant that BISD already applied for with TSC and they actually received the grant. So through 2025, they have their after school programs that can only be at certain schools. So they have a list on their website of the schools that are participating in 21st Century at the moment. So because we are a public library and not an ISD, we can't apply for that grant. So yeah, that is the list of the task force proposals. Any other questions?
Like Ms. Peña said, and you've done a fantastic job, and your staff also, Brenda, of this. I'm very impressed. And the kids are benefiting. That's the most important, the important thing. It's about, we're all about kids. And you're definitely showing that in everything that we're doing. And I certainly want you to be all about adults. Please look at those good people.
Thank you.
Can I add one more thing? Because that was something I really felt that the community in the southmost area or in the rest of the community, that they could use the library as a resource for any dual and classes. Doesn't mean that the librarian teaches. It would mean that a certified teacher that's certified to teach a dual course, a college course at TSC or UTRGV, they would use the library as a resource so that students would have access to a greater number of materials, technology. When 5 different subjects and 4 different grade levels in a high school use one library, you're depleted from its resources because there's so many students. When you have a dual course, sometimes you have to do the research and you have to look. Certainly, I don't want to go against any of the rules, but I wonder if, you know, dual enrollment is so popular right now that there is no room at the high schools any longer. It's either you have to go to the college or you have to stay on the campus. If you stay at the campus, they can only teach a number of students to take that college course. So the same teacher would be sharing the location. Many a time when I was taking administrative courses, we would meet somewhere else because there were so many students at the university or in that hall. So I don't know how it can be done, but I just feel like, oh my goodness, I've got everything there at the library. I wish that it would be open to the teacher and to the students, maybe to use periodically, maybe as a resource for weekends. I don't know, but certainly you've got a gold mine there, and I wish that students would know more about it. So that's where we're coming from.
Yeah, Ms. Peña, and we have a great electronic resource. We have a collection of over 300,000 items, plus our massive electronic digital, as Dr. Price also stated. We do have that, and they're available to anybody within our county. So that is there, whether it's physical or electronically. As long as you have a library card, we have a great collection development policy and collection development program for anybody. So that aspect is there. It's just a matter of us promoting it. So,
Yes, point taken,
Yeah.
taken. I know what you're saying. I think that maybe like what you just said, that we should, or at least I will tell all high school principals that this is something, and of course, the advanced academic department, as well as the universities, should know that we have a beautiful library in the southmost area and one in central Brownsville that could be a resource to them if they were to deem it so that more people could use our library.
correct.
Thank you.
Just a matter of advertising it and putting the word out there. It's there for them to use.
And just another comment as a UTRGV librarian, the early college and dual credit students do have access to the libraries in Edinburgh, Brownsville, and Harlingen, as well as to all of the online resources available to the university students. And we provide support for Texas Southmost College as well, though they are venturing into their own digital library. So I feel like students do have access. I understand what you're saying about space, and the library is very important as a space for people to physically gather. So absolutely, I think that that's a good point that you're bringing up, and it is probably something that sounds like all the libraries could do better to advertise and to make those connections with the students. So thank you. And thank you for preparing this presentation. I think that, do you all find this information helpful to know about sort of what's currently going on, what the plans are?
On the long-term projects, I was just thinking off the top of my head for the monthly career talks. I think it would also be important to maybe hold like recipe workshops.
Yes.
So they'll have the career talk, but then also writing a resume and knowing how to fill out an application. I think those are skills that could be also discussed during those monthly career talks. perhaps.
Yeah, that's a good point, because when I did work for the public library, whenever I did do adult instruction, there was always a question about how to conduct online job searches, how to submit applications, how to prepare resumes. So that definitely is something worth pursuing. I also wonder if Chamber of Commerce or Leadership Brownsville might be good organizations to reach out to for that monthly career talk. And certainly members of the board. We all come from diverse backgrounds and professional experience, so we'd be happy to talk as well.
Awesome, thank you.
I would like to add something else. When you were talking about some of the programs that you're thinking of doing, the proposed long-term projects also, some of these, I think it would be a good idea to partner with a lot of the civic organizations. You mentioned Leadership Brownsville. I know that like my Rotary Club's always looking for projects. And you'd be surprised at the amount of help you can get for a lot of the
That's a good idea.
like the Seek Library, the mobile library, the rock garden, for example.
Yeah, and there's lots of grants out there, especially for mobile libraries. So there are a lot of opportunities. In fact, ALA has a specific group devoted just to mobile libraries. So, yeah, I think that was part of, I think what came out of the task force is they just kept reiterating that there are so many resources available to us. And if we can just make the connections in the community, then it'll be mutually beneficial and grow the statistics for the library and demonstrate the impact that we're having on the community. So,
Yeah, and now we're making a consensus effort to apply for grants. We've gone three for four, and we're in the process of applying for 2 more grants. So we're looking forward to the future. And yeah, and there's a lot of, I hadn't thought about leadership on Brownsville and the Rotary that they perhaps can even pressure, donate something, you know.
Well, because they were talking about helping to beautify your courtyard.
The courtyard, yeah.
And then you're mentioning the rock garden. I'm sure they would love to help out.
Yeah.
And that's why these discussions are important, because I would not have thought of that on my own. So it's good to talk about it and get ideas from everyone, so.
And only because of the pandemic, because I belong to the garden club. And, and that would be wonderful. And I think the main concern, and I think you have taken care of our concerns, the implementation of what you have done, and we can see that you're doing a great job on it. And Juan, I like the idea that we just need to promote more of this digital, information that we have, for the kids, especially all the high schools that have that dual enrollment and, that they can start earning, that maybe they're not aware. I'm sure they may be made aware, but we just to promote it more. And now that you have that newsletter with the schools, wow, the doors are just opening for those kids.
Yeah, and a good thing about digital is that we're trying to turn the library without walls. A student doesn't have to be here to use our services as long as they have a library card for accessibility, so that there's many options out there. It's just a matter of promoting them. When I went to school with the Reader's Guide to Periodical Index, all those old school, that's gone. It's more accessible, so it's much easier, much more convenient, and that's what it's all about. But obviously, we need to make sure that they're aware of our resources, and we're trying our best, and hopefully we can continue that way.
Now, I can see the vast difference since I started here with Friends of the Library when I retired. Wonderful what's happening. I'm very excited for both libraries and for the staff. These young kids, not that we old ones. Very excited about what you're implementing.
Thank you. We're excited too.
thank you so much. Are there any questions? Any questions from our 2 virtual participants? No? Thanks so much for joining us this evening. All right. Thank you all. So we're gonna adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
And we're second from Ms. Ayala. So we are adjourning at 6:34 PM. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Um,
Right.